crime by dismantling the networks that support the place networks. This focuses on geographically small locations, small areas, and persistent violent crime known as hotspots, which are believed to be indicators of underlying crime place networks. So we're looking at the place and we're looking at the people in these locations. These networks are made up of specific locations used by offender groups for illegal activities, often facilitating illicit markets and violence. You're going to be hearing from Commander J.J. Schmidt, who will explain how this initiative worked and how it was carried out, why it represents a turning point in the way we address crime here in Austin. But I want to thank everyone who collaborated in this effort. It was a big deal, and so that's why we have this lineup here for you today. As we move forward and we're addressing concerns of our citizens, it is important to note that quality of life matters as much as hotspot crimes, as much as violence in this city. So when we're addressing quality of life issues, know that we take those complaints very seriously. These commanders in these sectors take them seriously, and this is how we're addressing crime and violence in this city moving forward, is using those place network investigations where we're looking at the locations. What is it about this store, this place, this building that allows criminals to feel they can commit illicit activities and commit crimes in these locations? And that's what this addresses. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Commander Schmidt to provide a look at this investigation and its impact in the community.
Well, good morning. As Chief said, my name is J.J. Schmidt. I have the honor and privilege of serving as the commander for Northeast Austin Edwards sector. Today, first, I want to show you a first slide and kind of tell you how we got here today, why we're here, and why law enforcement's involved. This will give you an overview of the area that we're highlighting. 35 runs north and south on the left side of your screen. Breaker Lane, the complex we're going to focus on is just east of IH-35. You have some large stores that you can see from the roadway, Northern Tools, Ducati. But the area we're going to concentrate on is in that yellow box there to the right. On the right side of the screen, you have a legend that kind of outlines the different businesses that lie within this complex. That specific site is 900 East Breaker. Directly behind that, you have an apartment complex, Walnut Creek Apartments, where you have a lot of multi-family housing and a lot of residential concerns, obviously from the businesses we're going to discuss today. And then directly across the street from Breaker Lane, you have a Valero and a QT. I think it's important to understand in this strip center we have Diablos, which is a sexually oriented business. We have Michelobos, which is a bar. We have an event center and also have a game room. All the businesses that are in that I just mentioned that are highlighted are connected. They're the connected network through management. Our district representatives proactively went out to this property over a year and a half ago to help these businesses look at their environmental concerns. Is there anything we could address with the lighting? Is there things that we can change with the security and access to the parking lot? So after that work was done, I'm going to go to slide 2 and show you what some of our call data looks like. This call data goes back to March of 2023 when Michelobos opened. You can see that we had an extremely high volume of calls, 430 calls for service for the Austin Police Department just at 900 East Breaker. That's a tremendous load for any sector. But for a police department that really has to manage their resources, this is a concern because it's repeatedly calls out there for not just minor violations, but for major incidents, shootings, stabbings, assaults, aggravated assaults, and sex crimes. And so in addition to that, we've seized 30 guns over that time just from that location, generated 170 offense reports. We've had 10 shootings with victims of those shootings, so that's concerning. And then we've made 78 arrests out of there and 1 homicide last year that occurred. The major thing that I want to point out on this slide, though, is in mid-2025, we had a significant increase in violent crime. And so our strategies that we had been doing to try to suppress the activity out there were not working. It was kind of holding things together, but we really had to get innovative on our strategies and our deployment. And so after that, we really focused on what could we do collaboration-wise. On the next slide, I'll give you a little bit of a picture of what our victims and offenders look like. The majority of the victims out there, over half, are young adults. That's concerning because obviously we want to protect our youth and get them in environments that are safe, but to have over half of them be involved in these as victims was concerning. Also, our offenders have had a lot of firearms possession that's increased significantly in 2025, but most of our offenders are juvenile or young adults. For UCW, felon in possession of firearms, charges similar to that. So I think it's important that we look at who our victim and offenders are. On the next slide, we're going to look at the location itself. This is a sample of what the parking lot might look like on a busy night. This is pretty representative of all that. Again, it has one bar, one strip club, an event center, and traffic will come to this location from other parts of town, especially at bar closing. So maybe you have a crowd that's on 6th Street. They migrate up to this location at 2 or 3 a.m. Compounds the problem, and so we had to look at our time of day and when our calls were. And again, we're seeing several young adults that are victimized out there. The biggest part was, and I talked about the apartment complexes, there's other businesses around there that are trying to do legitimate operations. And we heard over and over the community concerns about the noise, about the violence. There was a Jack in the Box that was in the parking lot that shut down about a year ago. The apartment complexes have difficulty in some of the adjacent apartments to that complex just because of the violence. And so for us, the increase in violence, the increase in community concerns is something that we had to address. So what are we doing? What did we do? On our next slide, we gathered the intelligence. We had some incredible analytic work done by our analysts to put together the stats, time of day and everything else, but we formed our team. And so you see the depicted here on the screen. These are the individuals that came to the table to help us solve this problem because of the areas that we identified through that detailed analysis. Our enforcement efforts continued while we worked on the major plan, but on September 26th, we executed a search warrant on Diablos. That's the property I discussed earlier. The team included a lot of departments within inside APD, our Northeast Patrol Division, Edwards Sector, our Organized Crime, SWAT Division, our district representatives, and our North MetTech and Victim Services teams. In addition to that, we had our city legal representation and representatives from the Austin Fire Department, Fire Marshal's Office, as well as code enforcement. A big partner in this as well was TABC, and we also had assistance from the FBI. The results of that search warrant that day, we made 3 arrests. 2 TABC can speak to in just a minute, involved serving illicit beverages at the location, and 1 was for a felony warrant for possession of controlled substance. We seized evidence that was listed in the search warrant. And some of that included illegal gaming machines, 8-liners. And then TABC and the Fire Marshal also observed violations and responded accordingly, as well as code enforcement. Moving on to Michelobos, they were served administrative orders from TABC, and again, an inspection was conducted by our code enforcement and Fire Marshal with additional violations there as well. Before I turn it over, I just want to recognize these partners for the collaboration, the dedication. The officers with the Austin Police Department have been going out to this location tirelessly for years. And so assembling this team allowed us to really come up with a plan to attack that. And so we've done that. I want to thank the analysts that put this incredible work together. But everybody that you see on the screen has had a major part of pulling this operation off together. And lastly, I want to thank our public, because we heard the community concerns, as Chief spoke to. We are data driven, but our core mission is to keep you, your family, and our community safe through innovative strategies and partnerships and engagement with the community. And that's what we did in this incident. So I'm hoping as we move forward, this is going to be a model that we deploy across the city to fight our other areas. But I encourage the public, don't get discouraged. Continue to call and report those violations so that we can respond accordingly. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to TABC Chief Ron Swenson.
Thank you, Commander. Good morning. Thank you, Commander. That was fantastic. I'd like to, for the record again, I think they said, but my name is Ron Swenson. I am the Chief of Enforcement at the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission. First, I'd like to echo what the Commander said and thank our partners at Austin Police Department, Austin Fire Department, the Fire Marshal's Office. This investigation is proof of the great things that can happen when local and state agencies work together to protect communities from crime. Especially, I see that the FBI was also involved, so when you get your state, federal, and local partners together, I think that is fantastic. I hope this sends a clear message to bad actors who think they can circumvent the Alcoholic Beverage Code laws and sell alcohol illegally or without a permit. During this operation, 2 employees at Diablos were arrested by TABC. Diablos is an unlicensed location, and the 2 employees were selling alcohol without a permit. TABC also issued a 90-day emergency order at Michelobos, a bar in the same shopping complex. This effectively keeps them from operating until a trial can be held at the State Office of Administrative Hearings. That hearing is coming up very soon. Emergency orders are issued under Section 11.614 of the Alcoholic Beverage Code and are used for serious public safety violations that require immediate action. This is ongoing. The administrative hearing hasn't been heard, so I can't get into a lot of the details, but I can say that the 2 people that were arrested were charged with violations of the Alcoholic Beverage Code, sale without a permit, and we did see significant amounts of alcohol from both locations. The licensed location was storing their alcohol off the premises, which is a violation of the Alcoholic Beverage Code, and the other location obviously does not have a permit. Therefore, they could not have that alcohol there and be selling it, which resulted in the criminal charges on the 2 employees. Subject to that, I would just want to close with letting everyone know that thank our law enforcement partners, the fire marshals, the feds, and I think one thing that was noted by the commander is thank you to the community for bringing this to our attention, and I'll turn it over to the fire department.
Good morning, everyone. Stephen Truesdale. I'm the fire marshal for the city of Austin, and this is a very big win for our community. We were originally approached by the neighbors, neighborhood associations, and they came to us looking for answers, as they did from other departments, and there was not a lot that we had to offer them because we had not formed this team yet, and we really didn't know the benefits of everyone coming together. So when they were voicing their concerns, we started to meet and try to decide what we could do. Initially, the fire violations were having minimal impact on the operations of the business, but then this initiative created a roadmap of how we could effectively work together to make those violations more impactful. There's many times when we go to these businesses, we write these citations, and it's just a cost of doing business for that location. They simply take the citation, pay it or contest it, and they move on. But it really doesn't have an impact on the operation. We can go back the next week or the next day even sometimes, and we find the same violations over and over again. So on September 26th, as the commander said, we all joined together, and the Austin Fire Department identified 18 violations and issued 18 citations for those violations. And then we also assisted with some specialized equipment with the seizure of the cash machines, so we were glad to be able to help with that. And this combined effort, along with the law department, the code, all the other partner agencies, allowed us to come up with a roadmap that we're going to hopefully be able to use in other similar circumstances throughout the city. And I just want to thank everyone for their efforts. This has been a big turning point in addressing these types of businesses in the city of Austin. And just to kind of reiterate that it is the citizens that kept bringing this to our attention. In addition to the responses for service, we were hearing the neighbors, and they are the best advocates, and they need to keep raising these issues so that we're aware of them and we can take appropriate actions. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dan Armstrong, the Development Services Division Manager.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning, everybody. My name is Dan Armstrong. I am a division manager for Austin Development Services. The name changed yesterday. And I oversee field operations north, as well as an extended hours team that operates citywide. Prior to the operation on September 26th, Austin Code Compliance had conducted inspections on 3 suites that was under the control of the principals associated with the businesses known as Diablos and Michelobos. During those inspections, Code Compliance discovered code violations associated with the International Property Maintenance Code, the Land Development Code. Those are typically known as zoning cases or operating without permitted use, and the International Building Code. Of those violations, Code Compliance escalated 19 cases through the department's Case Review and Escalation Division. With those escalations, the cases are being processed to be heard in Austin Municipal Court. On the day of the operation, September 26th, Austin Code Compliance determined that the previously documented code violations in areas that were accessible to us on the day of still exist, and our inspections associated with the overall code investigation will continue. And finally, Austin Code Compliance will continue to collaborate with the city's public safety departments in the interest and safety of the community we serve, And with that, I'd like to pass the floor to Austin Law Department's Criminal Prosecution Division Chief, Bianca Benson. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Bianca Benson. I serve as the Chief Prosecutor for the City of Austin. A nuisance abatement action has been filed against the property owners at 900 East Breaker, citing 93 abatable criminal offenses. A nuisance abatement action alleges that a property is a public nuisance due to the level of criminal activity allowed to occur on the property. We are also seeking a temporary and permanent injunction to prevent these businesses from continuing to operate in the future. We will be continuing to use the legal avenues available to us to collaborate with city departments to try and improve the quality of life for the community and the people who live near the property. A copy of the filing with District Court can be obtained directly from the court. Commander Schmidt will now return to the podium to address any questions.
With that, we'll open it up for questions.
We all know that area's had trouble for decades. What is it that happened that really was the catalyst for taking this action now?
I think it's a combination of a few things. A, the victims in these are young adults, right? The increase of community concerns that we continue to have, and then our increased call volume. The acts of violence became more dangerous. We saw last year the homicide, and so using the information that Chief Davis brought in with the evidence base and with our P&I training, we brought in experts to provide that training for us. And so this was a perfect tool to try to put into place so that we could address those concerns with the collaboration that you see here today.
And do you feel like with this collaboration, it's not going to be a situation where the same kind of offenders just kind of come back in a new form in the same locations?
It's going to be different because we're targeting the network. We look at the offenders, but we're targeting the network. What's the root cause of the problems, and that's what we're going to address. And just to be clear, we're just getting started. Like, the operation was kind of the peaking point, but we have a lot of work left to do, not only in this area, but other areas in the city, and we're just getting started. Like several other people have indicated, this is going to be a model moving forward where we leverage all the resources in the city. When we have a problem to this magnitude, and it affects our community that bad, we're going to address it.
Can you get more into the specifics of the initiative? Was it inspired by other initiatives in other cities, or how did this come about?
Sure. I'll let Chief speak to that.
Sure.
You can stay right here, JJ. No, I think to JJ's point, this was about looking at the way we respond to crime here. And so we've identified locations within the city of Austin that are hot spot locations, right? So when you're looking at the level of crime that occurs in these locations, and we have to respond to those. This is the smart way to respond. To have all these partners in the room at the same time, I'll tell you, to be in these meetings, it is inspiring. And so everyone wants the same thing for Austin. Everyone wants a safe, clean Austin. And so how do we do that together and pull all of these resources together? It is not enough for just the police alone to go. We need code enforcement. We need TABC. We need municipal court. We need all of these partners to come together and truly make a difference. And so as we're moving from site to site, again, this is just the beginning of this. JJ still has a lot of work to do here. We've got to make sure we've got good guardians in place that are running the place legitimately, because this is an area that does have legitimate businesses that are operating here. So how do we ensure that the owners of this entire strip are all operating legally and within the tenets of the community that the community sets? So I think it's important as we move forward and we're looking at other hotspot locations that this is going to be the way we're driving those initiatives. It's going to be looking at who's causing the problems, where, why is it comfortable for the criminals to be here, and us upsetting that. That's how we're moving forward.
Is there another location that you guys are looking at next?
So yes, as we move forward, there's 4 hotspot locations identified. So from here, the work that JJ's doing, we want to move on and bring this. And this isn't just specific. Here's Edwards sector, what's going on here. But this is always going to be available for any of the sector commanders to use as we move forward to address problems. And not just violent crime. You can think of the quality of life issues that people are concerned about. You know, if you have fire marshal receiving calls, he can call us. So there's a partnership that is built here. It is not just waiting for the police to reach out. When code enforcement needs us to come, I think it's having that ability to notify or to recognize locations that need this, and we're a team, and we're all moving as a team. And I think that's, as we move forward, is going to be really special about this project.
Melody Duran from Univision. My first question is, what do you think this is one of the most dangerous areas in Austin, knowing that the south of Austin has several homicides and several criminal cases in the past?
Again, like Chief explained, we're evidence-based, and we look at the analysis of the data, and taking those factors into place, identify our hotspots. We meet weekly to discuss those throughout the city, and then individual commands work on those efforts as well. And so I think what she was trying to explain is that moving forward, this is going to be something that you see in those other areas. And every problem is going to be a little bit different. This one obviously has a big intense on alcohol because there's bars and there's unlicensed premises. But other areas are going to have quality of life issues that may not even involve alcohol. And so as we move forward, we'll use our data to decide where those hotspots are, and then come up with a plan based on the data.
Can you confirm what type of business Diablos was?
Diablos is a sexually oriented business, a strip club.
Okay, yeah, I just want to clarify that. And on the other hand, were the people who were arrested, they were Hispanic immigrants?
I'm not aware of any immigrants arrested. The individuals we all had are all U.S. citizens. One was for a warrant out of Florida for possession of a controlled substance, and the other two were employees of the business that TABC spoke to about selling the illicit beverages.
Great.
John, with Spectrum News, you mentioned specific businesses. Have you looked at the entire complex management as a whole as well?
Yes, sir. We have done a comprehensive review and analysis of the entire area, not just 900 East Breaker.
Let me go right here first, and then we'll come to you, Betty.
Yeah, going forward, will this be like a monthly or like weekly meeting where like the head from each department will meet to discuss these areas that might need this collaborative team? And will you guys have like a name for this task force if it is a task force?
Well, I think to answer your first question, the name of this is the Place Network Investigations. That's what we call this type of approach to the problem. Like I said, we have weekly meetings internally with the chief and command staff on our data weekly. And so we track those trends. We look at how it compares to the week before, the month before, and the year before. And so using that, we'll formulate what actions we need to take, whether it's traffic fatalities, collisions, whatever the problem is, and address it. To your question about a standing meeting, it's going to be really driven by those areas because, again, code enforcement could bring an issue forward to the police that we're not that in tune with because it's not affecting us like it's affecting code enforcement and the residents of that community. And so there's not going to be a standing meeting. This is not like a task force thing. This is going to be a implementation of a project, the Place Network Investigations, that will utilize to solve those areas that arise in the city.
Are the 4 areas, the hot spots that I think the chief mentioned, are they all in Edwards sector? Are they all in yours?
They're thankfully not all in Edwards sector. They are spread out throughout the city. But the valid point is, everybody in our community has concerns. And I think, again, I want to encourage the public to continue to call, to express your concerns of areas that are problems in your community so that we can have it on our radar and have it visible so that we can address it. But the other hot spots are scattered out through the rest of the city.
I'm going to go to Casey, and then I'll come back to you.
So looking to the future, what are the metrics you'll be using to measure success? Will it simply be a drop in calls, a drop in assaults? What will you see as a successful program in the future?
So your question is, how will we measure the success of the program? And so I think it's a couple of ways. Our call data obviously is an easy way for us to, because it's trackable. We have that already built in. And again, we look at that not only a month from now, we look at that daily. So that'll be the first, but I think the biggest input is our community concerns. We meet frequently with our homeowners associations, with our neighborhood groups, with our religious base, and try to get that information as a whole. And I think as the community sees a change, that'll be some of our feedback, is if they're feeling safe, if businesses are thriving, if we're not having to respond to the same problems, if the violations don't continue from code enforcement and fire marshal. Those type of actions are kind of how we'll be able to gauge our success. And it's going to be a while until we can determine that.
Do you know how many patrols are going to be in the area from now on? If there are any patrols in the area, doing rounds,
Sure.
to keep the community safe, to have the community.
So your question is, how many officers will we have in the area? We frequent the area, obviously, because we're called there a lot. But aside from that now, being part of the project, we're going to continue to monitor this site for compliance. We're going to be checking the bars for compliance if and when they get a license renewed. And so I think moving forward, if we have issues that pop up, just like any other area of the town, we will put directed patrols where officers will go by there between their calls for service.
Any last questions? Great. Thank you all.
Thank y'all for being here.